everybody, it's Friday. Do you know where your bass player is? Of course you do. He's on his way over to band practice just as soon as his mom can drop him off. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's time for SMG Viewers Comments, my show where I try and answer your comments and questions about recording and music to the best of my ability. If you've got a cool question, please leave one below. I will try and get to it if I think it will benefit others. With that being said, let's get right to it.
My band had an offer from Standby Records. The label head Neil would tell us one thing, then the contract said another. So when we redlined to make it match what he said, he got pissy and said we couldn't change it. I told him he was putting us in a position to screw us over, and so we told him to peace out.
Okay, well, I haven't contacted Neil or Standby Records, so I don't know their side of your story. I've only got what you're going on. And, well, like I said, this isn't a personal attack against Standby Records. They might be good dudes for all I know. I don't know. But it wouldn't be the first time a label tried to screw over a band. And this is the thing. It doesn't matter what the guy at the label is saying. It's what's written down that matters. So if you're seeing red flags in the contract and somebody is getting pissy, yeah, avoid it like the plague. It's not worth, binding yourself to some bad contract language. Just remember, labels don't hold the power that they used to. 25, 30 years ago, yeah, you basically had to take what they were giving, and that usually meant taking a lot of shit along the way and not seeing any money. Whereas these days, we have social media available, we have YouTube, we have Instagram and whatnot. And if you write interesting songs and you can make an interesting video, you don't need those labels to make profits from music. I mean, one of my absolute favorite stories about recording has to be Steve Vai. The only record he ever really made money on was Flexible, because he released that independently way back in the early 80s. It's a very interesting record. If you haven't heard it, I highly recommend checking it out. It's definitely different, that's for sure. It's not a full-on shred record. There's a lot of really weird stuff, and it's pretty neat. Anyway, point being is, as always, when reading over a contract, especially from a label, ask yourself this: is the juice worth the squeeze?
RE labels don't do it. There's only one thing a label can do that you can't, and that's PR. That's not promotion or marketing. It's getting your music in front of real influencers, not your shitty Instagram kids, but proper magazines, reviewers, and big radio stations. If you get the right PR rep, they'll be trusted by those influencers enough that you go right to the top of their pile. It certainly won't end up in the bin without being listened to. Everything else you can pretty much do yourself, and at the level most of our bands are, you're talking about £1,200 for a 3-month campaign. Just talk to them before you set your release date, because the PR company will want it timed pretty much with the end of their campaign. The idea is to create buzz before your release, not after.
Everybody, Digiscream, that's my very good friend Lee Daffron from the fretboard.co.uk. And I have to say, there's some wise words in that statement. If it were 1998, Lee. This is the thing. I even question the value of a publicist for an indie band these days. I mean, yes, they can do all that. Yes, they can get your band into a magazine that nobody will buy. They can get you onto a radio station that nobody will listen to. This is the thing. Those traditional forms of media don't have the impact that they used to do. The world has changed. The world has moved on. Magazines don't influence anybody anymore, not like they used to anyway. I'm not running down the street to go buy the latest rock magazine or the latest guitar magazine. It just doesn't happen. The online presence might be a little bit different if your publicist is getting you into, say, Premier Guitar or something like that. Okay, yeah, or Guitar World, yeah, that can have an impact, so there is that. But the actual printed magazine, no, I really doubt it. Same thing with radio stations, not when you've got, the Sirius XMs of the world and all the commercial free stuff, unless you're being pushed to those platforms that people are actually consuming. Now, I'm going to go full Gary V here for a minute and remind everyone that we all have access to these wonderful platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff. And it is so easy to get your music in front of people. All you got to do is make it interesting. Best of luck to you.
Glenn, I love your channel. Any tips on mixing metal vocals? I'm pretty good with drums, bass, and guitar, but when it comes to metal Vox, I can't do shit. Thanks, and much love from Brockport, New York. Also, fuck you, Glenn.
First thing I'd recommend doing is check out my demo I did about a week and a half ago on the Empirical Labs Arouser plugin. It's their software version of the Distressor, the one plugin I use on pretty much every single record I've ever made since 2003. Because it's absolutely fucking amazing. Like, listen to it stomp down right here. How smooth is that? Yeah, it's just wicked. So if you can't afford a Distressor, get the Arouser. It's probably the best software version of that compressor I have ever used. And that would be the first place to get those dynamics under control. That, and maybe check out a copy of Soundtoys Microshift. I did a live mix review there a couple weeks back, and I was using that on the vocal, and holy crap, was that ever just amazing. Start with that shit. Check out some of my mix tutorials, that kind of thing. And don't forget to check out some of my premium tutorials for like a step-by-step thing on how to control an entire metal mix. I've got 3 lessons available. There's the producing prog metal, the mixing math rock, and mixing symphonic folk metal, and you can get those at a discount as a pack on ProMixAcademy.com. Check it out here. You can get that bundle. You can get the Ultimate Rock Mixing bundle. There's all kinds of cool stuff in there. You can get lessons from Motorhead, Galactic Con, and just really learn how to tweak not only your instruments, but your vocals as well. Definitely worth having a look.
Hi Glenn, I would like to know your opinion on Gibson destroying their $1 million worth of Firebird X's. I personally think that Gibsons should have refurbished those failed products and or sold them at a lower price. Why destroy them? Those are some of the best woods left to waste. Some good electronics destroyed. As always, thank you for the videos, and fuck you, Glenn from India.
Now, I've smashed an amp or two in my day. I can certainly understand the frustration with the bad gear. Ultimately, you know what? It's Gibson's product. They're going to do with it as they so choose. That is their right, and that's the right of ownership. Yes, it's really easy to sit there, well, they should have donated it, but you know, if you don't have all the facts, it's really hard to judge, and I can't believe I'm actually defending Gibson on this one. But the truth is, it's their product, they can do with it. And you'll see that a lot of times. You'll see rejects and deletes and that kind of thing. I mean, a lot of the rejects you see at Thomann for some of their Harley Benton branded guitars, they'll put in a bin and then sell at a bargain price at the end of the year. And that's great for Thomann. But I think Gibson has had such quality issues over the years. The last thing they need, and I'm going to take a wild guess that this is the reason. The last thing they need is some of those Firebirds getting out into the wild and people making videos. Oh, look at this shitty Gibson I bought. Yeah, look at the fucking quality. And that damages their brand even further. That would seem the most logical explanation from where I'm sitting anyway. So yes, it was kind of a shitty thing to do, but they are trying to protect their brand. And we all know Gibson has had a lot of quality issues as of late. And as far as 2019 goes, they've really stepped things up. So I can definitely see the wisdom in trying to protect that. Colin Scott and I got to try out a bunch of different Gibsons at TGU, and you know, I was really impressed with the new Explorer. I thought it played great, it sounded great. I just wish it didn't look like a guitar you could serve coffee on. And now it's time for
The Butthurt of the Week! So, what do you do if you don't have a silver spoon sticking out of your ass? Just kills me how arrogant and up-your-nose people with a shit ton of money have such grandiose advice for musicians with a ton of talent but no cash. Work on that!
Well, Johnny Q, let me clue you in on a little something there, pal. See, I started with nothing as well. I started way back in 1996 was when my studio started, and I didn't actually bring in a paying client until December 1998. I spent a couple of years getting gear together and tweaking my skills until I felt confident enough to actually start recording bands. So here we are, some 21 years later, recording professionally. And here's the thing, you build up the gear over time. You know, I didn't start out with the rev generator. I didn't start out with the Great River preamps or the audience stuff or any of that shit. I started out with a Trainer PA board with the crappiest preamps imaginable, and then went to like a Rolls Bellari, which was like this crappy solid state preamp with a vacuum tube put in to quote unquote color the sound, but not really. You know, and then you just, you know, you start building things up as you go. You buy more gear, you add to your collection. It's not something you start out with. That being said, I do a lot of videos about bargain basement gear that is really awesome. Now, if you haven't checked this out, please check out my greatest metal guitar recording trick ever. That's where we get a really awesome guitar sound using the preamps off a $50 used Behringer board. The preamps are spectacular for recording metal guitar. You don't have to spend a lot of money there. And we just use a 57 and like a $99 Lewitt mic. So there's $50 for the board and $200 on the mic. So for $250, you can get yourself a pretty badass metal tone. And if you don't have a tube amp or anything like that, a lot of the amp sims out there these days are absolutely stellar. The Neural DSP stuff is great. And there's even free amp sims you can grab as well. I've got videos on that too. All you have to do is check out a few of my playlists, how to record heavy guitar, how to record heavy vocals, that kind of stuff. Some of my fearless gear reviews, because there are all kinds of tips on how to get great tones for not a whole lot of money. All you gotta do is watch a few videos. Best of luck to you, man.
Glenn! Glenn! Watch most of your videos by now and find both you and what you're talking about to be very representative and inspired. Matter of fact, your intro songs still to this day inspires me to make and mix heavy and making it even heavier. However, I'm a producer myself and find it troubling when you talk about the engineering stuff in such an easy manner. For example, when you explain how the compressor or limiter works, you're correct in fact, but I feel like you're oversimplifying it way more than necessary.
Well, I'm trying to get the facts across in the simplest manner possible because I do know there are some bass players in the audience. They might get confused. Here's the thing. If you want a long, drawn-out video that's going to get unnecessarily complicated and keep everybody really excited, watch one of Henning Pauly's videos.
How are you feeling about Slayer's retirement?
I'm glad they packed it in when they did. Better to go out on a high note than to go out with a whimper. I mean, I saw them at Heavy Montreal. They headlined the second night. Yeah, they were amazing, and it was one of the very last shows they ever did. That was my first Slayer show ever, actually. And yeah, I thought they were fucking amazing. I'm so glad I finally got to see them. But I mean, that music is incredibly physically demanding, and so the fact that they're calling it quits now, I think it's a good idea. If they come out of retirement every once in a blue moon to do a special or something like that, I think that's cool. But doing that shit every night for some 30-on years, that's going to take its toll on your body. I mean, it's like a pro athlete. There's a reason why you don't see pro athletes playing in their 50s because you just physically can't do it anymore. And I think Slayer's, the music's so fucking intense, there's a lot to be said in the same analogy. So if in fact anybody from the Slayer camp is watching this, guys, thank you so much for all the amazing music. It's been a wonderful ride. Enjoy your retirements, guys.
Glenn, what do you think about the PV Viper series?
Haven't tried one yet. I might buy one at some point and put it on the show and check it out. As far as I know, it's an analog amp, so that actually might be kind of cool. Instead of it's trying to sound like something else, it's kind of doing its own thing. Might be worth checking out. What do you guys think?
Hello, thanks for the info. Can I record my distortion sound from my amp with a mic without reamp method? I heard that the reamp method is to save time because studios can want to know if that is true or not, because I record my distortion with the mic directly to my Focusrite, and then the sound that took the mic, it wasn't good enough maybe for the EQ treatment that I didn't, so please guide me on this.
Well, I'd highly recommend watching the rest of the How to Record Heavy Guitar series. It's a playlist. I don't know, there's 6 or 7 videos in there. Lots of great info. I think you're overcomplicating things. Reamping is when you record a guitar, but you use a direct box and split the signals, so you're recording the guitar directly. And you can take that and bring it to a bigger studio and let them dial the amp in and whatnot. Here's the thing, man. EQing after you've recorded your distorted guitars is only going to change so much. I only use EQ for limited moves, just minor tweaks, that kind of thing. The trick is to get the sound right on the way in before you even hit record. So if you're not liking the sound you're getting, think, okay, well, where'd I place the mic? Maybe I should adjust that. Maybe I should adjust the amp. And for fuck's sakes, turn down the gain. You're gonna get a better sound.
Hey Glenn, I was mixing a rock track and was struggling to get the drums to fit with everything else in the mix. I was playing about with levels, EQ, panning, compression, reverb, both individual drums and on my bus, but nothing seemed to work. I suspected that the reason for this was because the overhead mics had been provided pre-panned, and to my ears it was all over the place. Maybe the kick snare wasn't in the center or something. So I hit mono on my drum bus, and wow, suddenly the drums kicked so much ass. With just a little EQ on individual tracks and some overall bus compression, they were the best sounding drums I've ever mixed, which isn't saying much. I'm only second year music college. What are your thoughts on this? Do you ever keep drums in mono or mix them in mono and then pan everything at the last minute?
Well, I'll tell you this, one of my all-time favorite produced records ever is Corrosion and Conformity Blind. And one of the reasons I think that record sounds so fucking massive is that the drums are almost mono on it. Like the guitars are this huge wide thing and the drums are panned about here. So the cymbals aren't fighting the guitars for space in the mix. Seriously, go put on the songs Damned for All Time or Dance of the Dead and just crank it up as loud as it'll go because it will blow your hair back. What an incredible sounding record. So in your situation, if you find you're getting much better results in mono, yeah, you could try that. Or what you could do is you could strip the 2 individual tracks out of the overheads. You could make it a left and a right and pan them far closer to center and pan your toms far closer to center as well. I mean, like when you go see a band on stage, you got a guitar player over here, you got a guitar player over here, and the drummer's here. The toms aren't, way pan across the other side of the stage. So yeah, maybe pan things in a little bit more. You might like the results you get. That being said, you should have your kick and snare pretty much dead center anyway. So yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal to bring your stereo field in towards center a little bit. You might find you're gonna get some awesome results. Good luck to you, dude.
Hey Glenn, I'm looking to get into Full Sail University to study recording and entertainment business. Do you know anything about Full Sail, or do you have any recommendations for schools I should check out? Thanks, and fuck you, Glenn.
Now, I've heard some mixed reviews on Full Sail. I'm not gonna say anything because I haven't studied there. I don't know any grads, any of that kind of crap. I have gone to SAE in LA, and apparently I think they just closed that. That's a real shame because I thought that was a cool school. And but the one school I can recommend is OER, the Ontario Institute for Audio Recording Technology in London, Ontario. I've lectured there a couple times. It's a really cool school. It's definitely the place to go if you want to learn some cool shit. We did a couple YouTube events there. Yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome. Definitely recommend checking out the website at the very least. And if you're an American citizen, just remember your dollar is going to go a whole lot farther at that school than it will at an American school because of the exchange rate, which means less time paying off your student loan. Definitely something to consider.
Pedal Builder here. The new tube is like the display in old VCRs and radios. It works just like a regular tube electrically. It is a tube, not a chip.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I'm wondering if we're ever going to see those in higher wattage amplifiers, or is that just like where the preamp tube would sit? And like, do they do what a 12AX7 does or what a 6L6 does? I'm not sure. All I can say this about the Vox new tube amps, holy crap, was I ever impressed. Definitely want to get some of those on the show at some point and possibly do some giveaways. I think that'd be pretty freaking awesome.
Did you let Devin run his fingers through your hair?
No, but he did try to kiss me at NAMM a couple years ago. Ugh.
You should start a series called Smash or Pass. You demo a certain piece of gear. If it sucks, you smash it. If it's good, it passes the test and you keep it.
Isn't that exactly what I'm doing with Fearless Gear Reviews? I guess we could make it a segment, Smash or Pass. We'll add that in. Yeah, you know what? I think that's kind of cool. We might actually do that. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Good idea. Thanks.
It's because of computers that I even entered the world of metal. I bought my first Judas Priest album, Painkiller, via iTunes. I discovered that I wanted to play guitar because of finding people like Rob Chapman and Jared Dines. And everything I'd ever learned this far is due to watching people like you and the others listed before. I draw via computer art programs for years. So for me, I'd say computers are what brought culture into my life.
Dude, that's absolutely fucking amazing. You're answering the question that was asked a couple weeks ago. Are computers killing culture? It's so cool to hear a different perspective like that. I think that's amazing. It's cool you got Painkiller on iTunes, but it's much more fun on a CD, in my opinion. Seriously, I remember going to the record stores every day waiting for that to come up. Is it in yet? Is it in yet? Just driving the staff at a downtown Hamilton record store. Absolutely insane. And then it finally came in and I bought it from the store next to him. Oh, you know what? I really don't miss those days. It's so nice just to be able to click download. Boom, there it is. Consume. Anyway, I think that's really amazing, and it's cool that you got your inspiration from guys like Dines and Rob Chapman, both really incredible guitar players. It's so cool that what those guys are doing has a positive impact. Hopefully you're getting some use out of what I'm trying to get across as well. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for subscribing. And honestly, thanks for the kind words. That really does kind of make my day, to be honest with you. So I think the underlying theme here is, yeah, computers aren't killing culture, but they are shifting the way the culture is consumed and is brought into people's lives. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the tools we have to make records. The trick is we have to remember that they're just tools to assist us to make art, but they shouldn't be replacing the artist. There is a difference. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please check out my premium lessons at Pro Mix Academy, producing prog metal, mixing math rock, and mixing symphonic folk metal. You can also grab the Ultimate Rock Mixing Bundle for an awesome discount. Links are available in the description below. Thanks again for watching. I am freaking out of here. And as always, Pasadiga Evil Eye.